Adam Morrison was a superstar player when he played at Gonzaga, averaging nearly 30 points a game. So when he got taken 3rd overall, and only made it 4 seasons in the league, playing a total of 161 games with a 7.5 point per game average, before no NBA teams wanted to pick him up anymore, is what made him one of the biggest busts in NBA history. That's what most people remember him for. That and his long hair and his creepy mustache. But there's a lot more to the story of Adam Morrison and where he's at now, so we're gonna find that out. But first, we gotta take a quick look at the events that led him to where he is today. Ever since Adam Morrison was born, he had inspiration to play basketball because his dad was a college basketball coach. He coached small schools up until he quit coaching when Adam was in the 4th grade. And then that was when they moved to Spokane, Washington. By this time, Adam was already obsessed with basketball, so that year he became the ball boy for Gonzaga's basketball team. And then when he was in 8th grade, he randomly lost 30 pounds throughout the year, and he didn't know why. And then when he was at a basketball camp at Gonzaga that year, he said he felt sicker than a dog, and then he said he only made 1 shot the entire 3 days there because he was too sick to do anything. And during a game at the camp, he collapsed and started having a seizure. So his dad rushed him to the hospital, and that's where they found out he had type 1 diabetes. From that point on, he would have to eat the exact same meals at the exact same times on game days for the rest of his life. But he adapted to it pretty easily, and his family was so surprised by how well he handled it. For the most part, it never affected him too bad for the rest of his career. So by the time he got to high school, he'd have a great run there, breaking conference records and leading his team to the finals of the state tournament. But he still wasn't heavily recruited. Dave Telep, who runs Scout.com, one of the main sites that ranks college prospects, said that one of the biggest misses in his career was leaving Adam Morrison off that year's top 100 list. But that was okay for Morrison because he went to play for Gonzaga. He played there for 3 years and he got much better every year. He averaged 11 points a game in his first year, 19 in his second year, and then led the nation with 28 points per game in his 3rd year. He'd also lead Gonzaga to the Sweet 16. Himself and JJ Redick battled for who would be named the National Player of the Year. Redick won the award, but again, that was okay for Morrison because all the hype from his breakout college career led to him being taken 3rd overall in the 2006 NBA draft. And for Adam Morrison personally, that was pretty much the highlight of his NBA career. He played 2 seasons in Charlotte, he averaged 11 a game in his rookie season, before tearing his ACL the next year and then getting traded to the Lakers. He'd win 2 NBA championships with them, but he'd only averaged 2 points per game and play a total of 39 games for those 2 seasons. So his time on the Lakers was the last time that Adam Morrison was ever seen on an NBA court. So where is he now? Well, after taking a year off of basketball, Adam Morrison set out to play overseas. He signed with a team in Serbia and played there for 8 games, averaging 15 points and 3 rebounds a game. He was his team's top scorer and their 2nd overall best player. But then he asked to be released from his contract after only a month so he could try to make a return to the NBA. His reason for leaving after only 8 games was because he was having trouble adapting to a different culture and being away from his family since his 2nd daughter was just born. But when he got back to the United States, nothing changed and still no NBA teams were interested in him. But that wasn't really surprising after he only put up decent numbers for 8 games. So after that, he had no choice but to go back overseas in January of 2012. And then he played for a team in Istanbul, but that didn't last long either because he left 3 months later because he said they weren't giving him enough playing time. So that summer, Adam Morrison took one last chance at making it into the NBA when he joined the Brooklyn Nets Summer League team. He averaged 5 points in 5 games before switching over to the Clippers Summer League team where he averaged 20 points and 5 rebounds a game on 55% shooting and 61% from the 3. So then that got him signed by the Portland Trail Blazers. But then they waived him just a month later. You gotta think there had to be something wrong with his work ethic, or that he was just never built for the NBA, since this has been the story of his career. But Adam said once you get labeled as a bust, it's hard to shake it. So after he got cut from the Blazers, Morrison said he was done trying to make it as a player. So instead in 2013, he went back to Gonzaga to take more classes towards a sports management degree. And then at the same time, he became a student assistant coach for the men's team. But after a while, Adam realized he didn't want to be traveling around with the team and leaving his daughters behind, so he left Gonzaga in 2014 and started volunteering to help his old high school basketball team. He helped the kids train, and he told them what mistakes that he made in his career. He told them stories of how Kobe Bryant used to prepare for games every night, and how Phil Jackson set up his coaching strategies. In 2015, going the opposite direction of Morrison being a great guy by helping out the kids at his old high school, in an interview, Jared Dudley was asked who was the most disgusting player he ever played with, and he said Adam Morrison. He said he never showered, he spit out chewing tobacco all the time, and wore the same 3 polo shirts all year long. He said at one point Gerald Wallace had to actually force him to take a shower. Yet later in 2015, Morrison took a job as Gonzaga's video assistant, which let him work close to home for the most part. And then in another random interview, Morrison's name was brought up again when Kyle Wiltjer, who played at Gonzaga at the time, was asked about him. And he brought up the fact that at Adam's house, he actually has an apocalyptic bunker fully equipped with food, water, and weapons, because he thinks something is gonna go down with the world and the government. The dude's a little weird. But back on the normal side of things, even though Adam Morrison turned out to be one of the NBA's biggest busts, he hasn't let that stop him from living a great life. He's saved most of the more than $17 million he earned throughout his NBA contracts and his endorsement deals, and he said that his family taught him how to live comfortably and how to invest so he'd never have to work another day in his life. His entire life now revolves around his 2 daughters, his son that was born in 2016, and his girlfriend. And Adam said that he doesn't believe in marriage, so she'll be staying as just a girlfriend. Away from the sport of basketball now, he spends most of his time being a radio analyst for Gonzaga, playing poker at local casinos, and playing over 100 rounds of golf a year. He's got a big house, 9 cars, and a boat, so whether he's a strange man or not, even though he failed in the NBA, it's great to see that Adam Morrison is still succeeding at life.